What is going on, everyone? It's TK and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you what's gonna happen in the next Clash of Clans update, as in the Eternal Tome nerf or a buff. I don't know how that goes. I think it's a rework, basically how we're gonna call it, but it's more like a nerf because of the way it affects a lot of strategies. So we're gonna see which strategies it does affect and how sometimes you can maybe go around it, find certain other approaches similar to it, or switch strategies. So let's see what happens in this video. Alright, so I've done a few challenges just to show you about what is basically going to be changed, but obviously it's not even like added to the game. There is no clips for it, so I can't technically show you exactly how it's gonna go. But most people like to do this approach with dragons and also Yeti Blimp. Don't worry, this army is about Royal Champion charges, but because this is like a kind of explaining video, I'm not gonna get too depth sometimes in some of these examples. So we're just gonna spam the dragons, drop the blimp, usually how people do it. So this blimp, after the update, here is where the blimp will then be not invincible. It will be regular. So it will drop. Yes, it will drop really quickly. This is where the queen is hitting it, but everything is hitting it. The traps. This blimp will never get this far anymore. So say goodbye to this. Like, watch it how much ever you want to. Even with that further blimp that we just did, this is crazy how the blimp didn't make it, but we still got the town hall. So this is one of the reasons I believe they are nerfing that Eternal Tome. There's a lot of people who like to go with the early ability, get the blimp close to the town hall, and then triple clone or 4 clone into a town hall and the surroundings. So one of the nerfs is mainly related to dragons. Other strategies, I mean, like root riders or spam ground attacks, maybe even some, I don't know, super bowlers if people are doing, they don't really get affected that much unless you have a blimp in it. So what they're doing is technically nerfing the blimp. There is also like root rider strategy, and I've done an attack with the root riders, and this is just a super archer attack which we will get back, but I've done attack with a root rider approach, and I'm gonna show you the difference it makes in a root rider attack, and you can possibly avoid certain things with it. So we saw what happens with the blimp. The blimp will get dropped once it goes out of the Warden ability. But there is something to go around it, and I'm going to show you after I show you this one and the super archer attack. So what people like to do on the diamond bases in kind of, I would say, Town Hall 17 is that they want to get one side of the town hall area, like for example we got the left, and they want to drop everything to go into the town hall. But I'm just giving you an example. One thing is for sure is that root riders are just walking with Warden. You don't have any specific siege machine like a blimp going towards a town hall in any base. You don't have anything that wants to get out of the Warden ability. Look, everything is close by. The only thing that can be changed on a root rider strategy is where you dive into the core and where there is multiple defenses. So let me get my pen. There is multiple defenses, and that's when inside the core your root riders will move away, or your royal champion might skip away from your warden ability, as in moving away to go solo by herself, something you can't control when it happens. But that's why in the root rider attacks you got an overgrowth. So once you can see this warden is still going, but this root rider is outside of the warden, so this root rider will no longer be invincible inside that ability. Basically that's what's going to happen after the update. But with the root rider attacks, as I said, you can easily just go with an overgrowth. Make sure nothing is on this side to making sure everything goes separate and everything stays inside the warden and moving towards the back end. You can see how an overgrowth spell can really switch things up. It's just interesting in my opinion how that works, but it could also be a factor in a dragon attack. So the overgrowth could give you that kind of funneling in case you are popping the warden ability inside the core. Back then when I was doing a lot of dragon attacks, I didn't pop the warden ability early on. I always popped the minion prince first, most of the time, and then the warden ability I used to pop it inside the core, where I know once the town hall cores, they're down, the dragons will split in multiple directions. That's when I pop the Warden ability, so I could catch those dragons when they're going to split. Some of them went to enemy heroes, some of them went to activate poison towers, some of them were tanking for an air expo, some of them were just splitting with the Warden. This is where those splits would have saved you when you had the OG Warden ability, but you can't do it. So that's why one of the things I want to give you tip is an overgrowth once you reach the core in any strategy that you want to pop it. No matter if it's super bowlers, no matter if it's Titan Smash, whatever strategy you're doing in any town hall, you are gonna get affected once you reach the core. That's when things go separated, because at the end of the day, you can never get a funnel that is, for example, this much of the base gone, and you're going to the core and you're happy that one side is gone, so everything just stays in the same lane. You're never gonna get, for example, this entire side, so you know it's never going to split. Things are just gonna go together. That's why, if you know this, you can see we got only a small bit of the base. The funnel is decently set to go into the town hall, but once after that, you can see these little funnel that has not been happening. That's why the troops split. So an overgrowth spell, for example, on this side, will make sure the troops have less of a split and stay inside the Warden ability, moving through the back end if you are popping the Warden ability early on. This goes the same as in if you drop the overgrowth on this side of the base, and notice after the town hall and monolith, everything will be nice and easy through these defenses on the back end, and then you will get a split nicely here. Probably a lot of good funnel on this side already happened, so the split will then meet up each other at the start of that overgrowth where you dropped it. So my first tip is, in any strategy that you do, make sure you do some practice, make sure to see if it's regarding the overgrowth, and it will make the strategy better. That would be the tip I would give you on Root Riders, on Dragon attacks, because especially with Dragon attacks in hard mode, people are taking those kind of overgrowth spell, and it all comes down to testing. This is before the update that I'm recording this video, so I don't know exactly how it's gonna be too much effective. You can never know it, because once you pop the Warden, 1 second later, maybe 2 of your dragons are outside, and that's already gone. Like, that's 40 housing space. You can never do anything about it. That's why, like, the other key thing I want to mention is a very late Warden ability on every single strategy that you possibly can do. So going back to the super archer attacks, I believe, yes, one thing I want to show you that people love with the super archers, and it's actually quite a lot lower town halls. Town hall 17, obviously, because we got a lot of like high splash damage. The super archers are a bit weak because obviously town hall itself drops a poison. So you can see how very beautifully we popped the Warden ability on the back end, the blimp reached where we wanted to reach. Simple as that, and you're getting the core. But after the update, you cannot do this. There's a lot of people who don't even drop the dragons. They have regular loons. They want to drop Warden, loons, and the archer clone blimp. That's when, again, it's not gonna work when you're going with that mindset. The super archers in general is not gonna work in Tunnel 17 anyway. It's decent, but it's not effective. There are way easier strategies to use, especially will be after the update. But with a super archer in general, this is what you want to do. Okay, I'm gonna give you this tip. If you're running the super archers in the lower town halls, if you're running also a spam attack with it, don't drop it too early. Drop the dragons in a way that they can go in, make sure you have the funnel set, for example, and then once the dragons are going a bit more deeper in the base, you want to drop the blimp. This makes sure once the dragons are close to the core, you will pop the Warden ability. You will catch everything, you will catch the blimp, but then the blimp is slightly kind of coming inside the Warden ability, which it will get protected. Even if it doesn't, obviously it will, but if it doesn't, you already tested for that area for traps while going through it with the dragons. So now what happens with the blimp is that the blimp will then be inside the core, which is still inside the Warden ability, and then around few seconds after that, it's when the blimp drops, once it goes out of the Warden ability, and then once it kind of reaches close to the Town Hall, depending on the base you hit, maybe a box or a diamond. If it's a core Town Hall, obviously you can't really super archer clone it in the core. Like, it could be possible, it could be a nice trick, but you know what I mean. You will always reach the certain point that you can pop the super archers and then clone into the town hall or the area of the damage you want to put. And you can see I just freestyled this attack out of nowhere, spammed everything in one corner, dropped the blimp and the super archers on a town hall 17 and got a triple. This is a max town hall 17, by the way. And yeah, that's how, and I would say that's why they're nerfing the blimp in general, because Yeti clones, Super Archer clones, these stuff are really, really hardcore in general in the meta. So they're giving it a nerf. So yeah, obviously the other thing that I want to mention, and it's a decent, I would say, thing, but not a lot of people really get into it, is when, for example, I'm gonna open up one of my attacks here for you. For example, when you pop the blimp, not the blimp, sorry, when you pop the Warden ability, there's a lot of people who love to catch headhunters. So they can catch the headhunters, and then once they're moving through the base, the headhunters eventually go out of the Warden ability and then they kill another hero. Something that also people like to do with the Super Archer is the same. Dropping the Warden, for example, on the lower corner, dropping the blimp, few loons, and a headhunter to get the RC, for example. But it's not necessarily the case if the headhunters move away from the Warden. So what I would suggest you is don't even rush to that. Drop that Warden, drop those loons, and once you want to pop the Warden ability, you can still drop the headhunter right there after you pop the Warden. It will move into the Warden ability and it will stay there invincible and hit the RC. So that actually makes your job easier if you're going into a hero that is already close by. But if there is a hero further away, that's when it's gonna be a nerf to the Eternal Tome, basically, because it's technically not going to be possible to catch, for example, 2 headhunters and kill a hero before you reach that hero. The headhunters will never reach there. They will die really quickly. So you can see how it's a nerf, but then it's a, I would say, kind of buff at the same time. But depending on how you're going to look at it and what you're going to look for it, it's going to be kind of the name of it. But I would put it in a nerfed category when it comes to headhunters. When it comes to the blimp, obviously it's a nerf. It's just so much better what it was. One of the reasons I don't know exactly, except the nerfs, that why they changed the Warden mechanic is exactly this. Like, there are certain things in the game where they could change and it will make the game, I would say, more balanced in a way of cloned Yetis. They can easily make the Yeti a lot more housing space, or they can make the clone spell 4 housing space so people take less of it. They can do these without actually changing an entire hero mechanic. But let me know if you agree with this change. Let me know if you used even dragons. Maybe you use dragons with siege barracks. Like, that is decent. Like, literally, there's nothing to be talked about if you use that strategy. A lot of people use it in Legends. No one used the blimp, not the Legends, sorry, the hard mode in tournaments. No one really used a blimp in the tournament attacks. People tend to take that siege barracks. So when they pop the Warden ability, their dragons will be mostly safe, but if they only have a good funnel. If you don't, as I told you on the root ride attack, your dragons will split and that would be the end of them. So guys, one thing I want to like kind of show you on this attack is that a new version and method of using the Yeti clone, okay? It's not gonna be probably tested just yet till the update. It's just something that I came up with my mind and I was like, you know what? This could actually work. So don't mind my very bad RC charge. It's just something that, yeah, it's friendly challenges. I wanted to get it done with. I wanted to just get a funnel. So one thing I'm gonna do on this attack is I'm gonna keep the Warden ability for longer and pop the Minion Prince ability before that. So even though we're going through so much damage, we're gonna do that. Let's see this. We got a decent funnel, like you can see right around this area, and we're gonna go through the town hall. This is where a lot of people a bit more further. Like for example, once these dragons are on the king, once they're done, they will drop the blimp. That's what people usually do, because once you pop the warden, the blimp will always make it to the town hall. But look at this. I'm going to pop with Dominion Prince ability, frosting these defenses, let everything go forward, and because we already tested this area, look at this. We don't have to wait for the warden to pop it at the last second. Go with the warden ability when the damage is a lot, and this is where the blimp is done. You can see this looks like an update, but it's not the update. So this doesn't change anything for that blimp. Like this clip is exactly how the blimp is meant to be after the update. But that's why I told you pop a later warden ability. Now, even if there's a trap right here, because I dropped the blimp on purpose to show you it's enough of warden ability with this method. Even if there's a trap right here hitting the blimp before it reaches the town hall, that's when you still got the clones. So the blimp made it this far. If you pop the blimp right here when the dragons are on the outside, it will never go that far. Plus, look at the amount of dragons we have. So the method of the Minion Prince ability and a late warden ability will always ensure you to reach the town hall with the clone spell. Even if you don't have a clone, even if you rage the Yeti Mites, this is the space style. The Yeti Mites will actually get the town hall for you still. But, you know, we had to put it in practice, basically. Now, the Warden Healing Tome, obviously healing through the core. Usually the traps are in the core, so you want to have the Healing Tome. I would never suggest you to take the Rage Gem with the dragons, even if you don't have the Rage of your own. But you can see how things split from each other. Some people love to pop the Warden in the core, but without an Overgrowth, that's when you're gonna get a bit unlucky. Some dragons on the right, some things go to the mini print, some things go to the left, some things stay behind like these Yetis, and if you have the Warden ability, it's gonna be completely wasted. Don't hold your Warden ability when it doesn't need to be held. That's the other key point I want to give you. Once the update drops, I'm going to do so many testing, and I'm going to give you the best things possible and the best methods to use this kind of OG things like the blimp still in the meta. It's just going to be harder, obviously, but it's never like impossible. Let's say like this. It's going to take a bit more skill, a bit more patience, and a bit more practice. That's all you need to become again one of those good blimp players. I know their whole idea of this is to nerf the blimp, is to make sure the dragon strategy kind of slightly die out and people start using maybe other armies that they introduce with the troops, and not every army needs their own Yeti clone. Every army you see in the game, you can do it with a Yeti clone. It's crazy. So that's why I believe this nerf is coming, and the rework, basically, let's call it like that. That's why I think the rework is coming for the Grand Warden. And yeah, you can see, I'm not a dragon attacker. We do not care about these attacks, and I'm just showcasing you, and we're still getting triples. It's crazy. It's crazy how powerful the blimp can be really in this game. But in general, I'm gonna go back and give you a nice little tip right here. We are gonna go and actually use the lava loon puppet once the update is out, because this is gonna dominate the meta. If we get a clone spell level, it's over. It's simply over. I think it can dominate the meta even harder than the Root Rider, because with the clone spell level, you can actually clone 2 Lava Loon once these things like come out of the Warden. Right now, the 2 of them come out, but if you drop a clone spell, it's only 1. So technically, you don't get too much value. But the other thing that was about the Lava puppet, like the Lava Loon puppet, was that once you pop it, the Warden ability would have already been before it. So the Lava Loon troops itself wouldn't be inside the Eternal Tome. But after the update, don't forget, the Eternal Tome is gonna be there forever whenever it finishes. As in, if you add something to it, it will also be invincible. So, just like the Lava Loon puppet, once you pop the Eternal Tome, they're gonna come out, they're gonna be invincible, and you can clone them, and the clone will also be invincible. That's the insanity part. So I don't know if this was intentional. If this little change, if they know it, if they've tested it, I don't know what they've done. I know sometimes the testings in Clash of Clans or Supercell in general is a bit weird, as in they don't really test everything. They need to sometimes put things out because there is a majority of community and people really love testing and finding broken stuff. So they give it a month before they find how much broken it can be, then they can nerf it again. So I believe the only reason they didn't touch the lava loon puppet was this exact reason for the Warden ability change and the clone spell level. So we have to see what happens in the update. Soon I will bring you the sneak peeks hopefully, and hopefully if you want to stay tuned for that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to purchase anything from Blueprint Store, make sure you check them out and also use code TK. It will give you a 10% discount, and I appreciate every single one of you that do so. So hopefully again you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you soon tomorrow or the day after, whenever I will be available. And again, take care and peace.